Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Mama Asifitri, and today I would like to share with you all about the meaning of the secular materialism. What is secular materialism? Secular materialism is someone who have concern about the position, material wealth, or physical confidence. This type of person is only thinking about themselves, and it's hard to find that secular materialism person who can accept the idea or the way from the another people. Go to the first point, which is freedom of choice. This type of person, which is have their freedom of choice, which is their freedom to choose the way of their life, their lifestyle, and they will do anything to fit the society, which is their own their own style. For the next point, which is thinking about the money or property. This type of person only thinking about the property and how to gain money. They will do anything for money as long as they get the money. They doesn't care if the resources which is legal or illegally. They only care about the profits, which is they doesn't care or they doesn't concern about the subsequences to another people. For my last point, which is they doesn't have interest in spiritual, which is this type of person is doesn't care about the afterlife. For the example, which is this type of person, we can conclude that which is someone who is atheist, which is they doesn't care about their afterlife. They're only thinking that they only live in this world and die, and that's the end of their life. Which is they doesn't believe on anything, which is they doesn't believe on God, angel, or day after life, or hell, or heaven, which is they're only thinking about themselves.
Okay, next we are going to talk about Islamic perspective. All life aspects are connected with the principle of Islam. Allah provides everything in life, and human beings utilize anything according to His will. And punishment also will be given to anyone who mistreat or misuse the set guidelines on the day of judgment. And Muslims are expected to live according to Islamic law, which is called Sharia or God's way. They are not allowed to steal, lie, commit adultery, gamble, eat pork, or drink alcohol. Lastly, every Muslim also expected to do the 5 duties, and the concept of the religion is really relies on religious belief as the source of guidance and knowledge. Islamic religious teaching is founded in the Holy Quran and As-Sunnah religious scriptures.
Next, we go to the Islamic and secularism views on economy. First is Islamic economy. In Islamic economy, individual liberty is guaranteed. For example, such as the protection of property, because in Islam forbids any acquiring wealth by illegal means. For example, such as stealing and corruption. Next, Islam also prohibited of riba. As we know, riba is prohibited in Sharia law for some reason, because riba also known as interest and not an income. And also Islam have a consumption guidance in economy, because Islam views a consumption as having a moral agenda and noble goals rather than have a personal and self-pleasure agenda. And lastly, Islam have a alms. Alms is a duty of Muslim towards the needy people. Alms also known as zakah, and thus in Islamic economy, zakah is imposed by law and not considered as a charity, because it gives benefits to the economy by helping the poor and needy people to reach a better state of economic in their life.
Next, I'm going to talk about secular views on economy. First, secular system is based on the materialistic and individualistic view with less socio-economic justice and only concern to the worldly matters. The human objective in capitalist society is purely a materialistic one, expressed in terms of materialistic regardless of the cost and fallout on society. Second, no religious base. In secular view, it basically disagrees Islam is a divine message with a special conception of the universe, life, and man. in secular view, it have their roots in their materialistic vision that has no religious base, nor any belief in Allah. For example, capitalism is merely concepts on devoid of spiritual and moral values. Lastly, belief that the non-existence of limits or restrictions results in economic freedom. For example, in capitalism, freedom knows no boundaries. In theory, individuals can do what they desire to.
The next point is scientific innovation guided by monetary gains versus Islamic scriptures. For the secular worldview, it's prioritized scientific innovation so as to propel our society into this modern era to cope with the unique challenges faced. The scientific methods cultivated over time should definitely be lauded as it enables us to solve issues faced by people today for the overall goodness of society. While stated pride in being adaptable to this era, a lot of corporations and even independent organizations exploit these scientific methods for their own personal benefit or monetary gain. This leads to scientific innovation that knows no boundaries, where scientists evade moral ethics in order to propel their research. As an example, stem cell research is a polarized topic despite it having a massive impact on the healthcare system. It made tissue and organ implants more accessible and cheaper to the public. However, there are several moral issues that are brought to light, such as the question as to how far the placenta of the mother can be exploited for the use of science and monetary gain. In contrast, the Islamic worldview prioritizes moral obligation above everything else and is not easily swayed by the promise of money. Islam and science go way back when the Golden Age was established. This is referring to a period in the history of Islam traditionally date from the 8th century to the 13th century, during which much of the historically Islamic world was ruled by various caliphates and science, economic development, and cultural world flourished. Medieval Islamic science had practical purpose which aided in the development of modern medicine by describing diseases like smallpox. The goal of these scientists was also religious in nature. For example, astronomy was useful for determining the Qibla, which is the direction in which to pray. We are able to conclude that the Islamic worldview of scientific innovation have the betterment of mankind in mind rather than materialistic pursuit of the secular worldview.
Human rights guided by personal motives in Islamic scriptures. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights (UDHR) is a milestone document in the history of human rights, drafted by representatives with different legal and cultural backgrounds from all regions of the world. The declaration was proclaimed by the United Nations General Assembly in Paris on 10th December 1948. This declaration is propagated by a secular worldview in which everyone is deserving of basic human rights regardless of religion. Whilst this declaration has a pervasive and positive impact on the livelihood of many, some states have been dealing with extremism by instrumentalizing and distorting the concept of secularism in order to undermine the rights to freedom of expression and freedom of religion or belief, which should be guaranteed under Act 18 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. As an example, the banning of burkini by local authorities across France is another stark example of a harmful conflation of anti-extremism and secularism based on double standards in curbing the rights to free expression, religion, and belief. This goes to show how the secular worldview of human rights can be warped to exploit certain people of their rights to propel a vendetta of a secular nation. In contrast, an Islamic worldview of human rights that safeguards the individual rights of everyone and its beliefs of equality is constantly propagated in Al-Quran and the Sunnah. This message of equality, which was bestowed upon Muslims to spread, can be encapsulated by the final Jum'ah speech by our Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. All mankind is from Adam and Eve. An Arab has no superiority over a non-Arab, nor a non-Arab has any superiority over an Arab. Also, a white has no superiority over a black, nor a black has any superiority over a white, except by piety and good action. This and many other divine excerpts from Al-Quran and As-Sunnah constantly highlight the importance of equality in the treatment of a person no matter race, color, or religion. This goes to show how the Islamic worldview sets out concrete guidelines on the propagation of human rights that should not be crossed, whilst the secular worldview of human rights is constantly being undermined and distorted by powerful secular nations.